If you want to communicate better than 99% of people, then today I'm going to share the 3 lessons that have allowed me to connect with others on a much deeper level in both my personal and professional relationships. The first lesson is don't kick over the beehive. Imagine with me that you and a friend stumble across a beehive and accidentally knock it over. Pure chaos. Now amidst this chaos, let's say for a moment, for whatever reason, your friend starts to tell you about the latest book that they just read and how much they loved it. Do you think you would be able to focus at all on what they were saying? Absolutely not. You'd be really focused on those darn bees. And so this lesson comes from Dale Carnegie in his timeless book, How to Win Friends and Influence People. When we criticize or condemn others, we are basically kicking over a beehive, making communication pretty much impossible. I want you to think of the last time when someone criticized you. Maybe it was a boss at work because you missed a deadline, or maybe a teacher at school where they gave you some feedback on one of your assignments that you found maybe a little overly critical. What happened in your mind when you received that criticism? You and I are probably very much alike in that when we receive criticism, the first thing that happens in our mind is we begin to justify. So you missed the deadline because of XYZ, the quality of this assignment maybe wasn't up to your regular standards because of these various reasons. But we're justifying in our mind right away once the criticism happens. And the justifications in your mind become so loud that you can't even hear what the other person is saying, making communication impossible. Those justifications are a lot like the bees buzzing around. Every single person that you meet does the exact same thing. So what can we do about it? Carnegie says that instead of condemning people, let's try to understand them. Try to figure out why they do what they do, which leads us nicely into lesson number 2. But before we get there, have you subscribed? Go ahead. Now's the time. Did you see the confetti? Let's keep going. The second lesson is to wear their shoes. So often when we think about communication, we put ourselves first and how we can get our message across to the other person. But communication is always a two-way street, and there's a massive difference between talking at someone and having a conversation with someone, actually communicating and connecting with someone. To really level up our communication, we need to be able to see things from the other person's perspective. We need to walk a mile in their shoes. One of my favorite sayings is, everyone you meet in life is fighting a battle that you know nothing about. And I remind myself of this when I come across someone in my day-to-day life that might be rude or frustrated in their communication with me. All of us have had those days where nothing has gone right. The kids didn't sleep, you spilled your coffee, there's traffic on the way to work. The list goes on. We have all been there. And if you're working to go beyond just communicating with someone to actually connecting with them, then we need to keep this in mind. Now, this is not always the easiest thing to do, but the best place to start is to shift our focus off of ourselves and imagine for a moment what the world might look like through their eyes. Dale Carnegie suggests that we give our attention to the other person, going above and beyond, actually recognizing and giving them honest and sincere appreciation. It's being willing to walk a mile in the other person's shoes and recognizing in that same moment that there's always something to appreciate about the person that you're communicating with. The third lesson I call hide and seek. Hide your phone and seek to connect with others. Like, put it away. We all know that if we're talking to someone and they're scrolling their phone, maybe reading a text message, that there's a very obvious barrier to communication. But what I didn't know is just how much of a barrier it can be when you're having a conversation with someone and they just have their phone in their hand mid-conversation. It really breaks down your ability to connect. And I am horrible at this. Just because I'm making these videos does not mean I've got this all figured out, but I am working on it. Just think about when you're having a conversation and you've got your phone in your hand. What if you receive a notification? Do you check it? That buzz, that ping, whatever that is, our brains are trained to check it. Our eyes are automatically drawn to it. Heck, even if we don't receive a notification, there's a good chance we're gonna look and check our phone just out of habit. And even though you truly value the person that you're communicating with, our actions say otherwise. So I want you to test it out for a week. See how often in your conversations you can get your phone out of your hand, out of your pocket, put it somewhere else, and see if your level of communication increases, your level of being able to connect with people as you talk to them. I really believe that as we continue down this road of an uber-connected world, those that can learn to connect, be fully present without distraction, will really set themselves apart. I'll see you in the next video.